Happy Decaf Thursday. I think this might be my first episode for my new house. Because last week I was in Anniston, so I'm in a new house. It's beautiful. It's sunny, as you can tell, my natural light that I did not have in my old house. Feels good to be here, Mark. I'll have to have you and Kara and mostly Sloan over for dinner one night
Is
because
that your kind of, you can kind of see your liquor cabinet or your liquor cart behind you.
we fully endorse the
Yeah, there you
bar
go.
cart. Here, if you can have my Peloton on one side of the room and my bar cart on the other. So
This is
that
like, this is
shows
the
you
unhealthy choice, is the healthy choice. You kind of every night you have to decide.
it's where my priorities are. The bar cart and the Peloton. That's a good time. But I'll have you guys over, and there's a big fenced-in backyard for Sloan to run around in and chase squirrels. She can chase all the squirrels in my yard because there are so many of them.
So this is funny. She like chases birds too. She's really into chasing birds. But this one bird, which is like so sad, but like I think its wing was broken. So like Sloan started chasing it and it was kind of walking away. And so it's like, oh my gosh, I can actually catch one of these. And like just had no idea what to do when she didn't do anything, but she's like, I think she just always expecting to fly away. And she's like, oh, this is weird. Like I can be faster than this bird and I can catch it. But yes, and then it kind of like half flew away with its one broken wing. So it was sad. But
It's
Sloan
like
was
men and
like finally got
dating.
one.
It's like men and dating. They're all about the chase, and then they get it, and they're like, so now what?
Yeah, and that's Sloan's first time ever catching. It's like the first time that any like that actually happens for a guy. But yeah, it was just funny because she loves squirrels and she loves chasing birds for some reason.
She is the funniest little dog I've ever seen. I actually saw a video on Instagram today with a little dog that looked just like her. And it was one of these singer-songwriters who was trying to show off her singing abilities on Instagram. And she started playing the song, and the dog just started howling like the dog was singing. And I was like, yeah, it's the doggy's time to shine.
Yeah,
For anybody
maybe she's not very good, which is why she's howling. She can't hear
maybe,
her
yeah, the
singing.
dog is like, I'm going to cover up this song that's about to be an absolute train wreck. So big news, breaking news. Congress is trying to do something that's half thought out. Who would have thought of that? Typically, a lot of the things that we see coming from federal government are political theater, which we will talk about here shortly. One of the things that we are seeing right now is, and not right now, it's been going on for the last few years, but Congress has had the bright idea of punishing big companies for censoring conservatives. And I'm just going to say this is my take, and Mark, I'm interested in your take. We suffered because of the censoring on Facebook of political ads, getting flagged, getting our posts flagged, having the warnings on them because it's something that big tech and the far left doesn't agree with. However, I think that market forces are more powerful than the federal government. And I think that Congress should say what they want to say, issue statements, say this is wrong, do whatever they want to do. But regulation is never the answer. Regulation only hurts people. It's often not intended to hurt. We talk about it with occupational licensing. They will regulate the crap out of something, and it hurts people that they never thought about that it would hurt. We're seeing it now with tech. And I just think we're walking down a really dangerous path of, if you are a true conservative or libertarian, center right, whatever, right leaning, your principle should be to get the government out of things and let people do what they want to do, instead of saying, well, we don't like this, so we're going to put a law around it. We're going to fence it in, fence it off, barbed wire it, booby trap it. Instead, just leave it alone and let the market do what the market does. I mean, after all this censoring happened, we've seen other options come forward. Now, none of them have been as big. Gab, Parlor, whatever, none of them. MeWe, that was
Although
one
I
of
saw
them.
whatever Trump's new platform has like 1 million people waiting to even sign on.
Yes. Well, I actually got on the wait list just to see what it was about, and I'm still not on. It's been like a month and a half since I got on the wait list. People want to see what it's about. Other options will come onto the market. And so if you're a conservative or a libertarian, or even identify as remotely center right, your platform should be, let the market do what the market does. And so I just think we participated in a net choice day of action where we tweeted. If you check out our Twitter, you'll see we did a blog post about how America should not be stifling innovation. It's one of the greatest things that America can do is innovate and promote new platforms and new technologies to deal with existing problems. And I just think that Congress should get the message loud and clear that this is not what America wants. We don't want to be censored, but we also don't want to be regulated.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we also need to separate. I think people have a hard time separating, I don't like this, to mean that the government should regulate this. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things we don't like. And I will say, when you talk about social media and things like that, where, people on the right are talking about free speech and things like that, it's like, you're essentially doing, what the far left does. You're saying, I don't like this, so we need to regulate this. I don't like this much, this much money for gas. I don't like that these people are so much poorer than these people. It's like, and the whole point is like, they want to regulate things into being how they want it. And that almost never is the case. And as Ron has explained to me, it's like regulation actually make it harder for conservatives to have a voice. And I think that when we talk about, people keep talking about how Twitter's monopoly. Well, it's not a monopoly if Elon Musk just bought into it and is now the main shareholder of that. It's like
at 9%.
Yeah, you don't really understand what a monopoly is. And that's how you change things, right? This is somebody who's at minimum center right, but clearly is a free speech advocate, believes that everyone's opinion should be heard. And like Twitter is now different. And all these, I will say, like a lot of the conservatives who have these issues with, Twitter, Facebook censoring people, the fake news, all that stuff, and everything they did with COVID. It's like, I agree with you. Like, I think you're right. So I'm not trying to say you're wrong, but I don't think that is the way to deal with it. And I think it goes against the very principles we're supposed to believe in, to say that we have the government censoring or putting all these extra regulations on a private company. That's just my opinion. But Ron did a great blog post, and I'm glad this is getting some attention, because I think that, it's important that people on the right or people who are free market advocates are consistent, because if you say one thing, then do another, the other side's going to paint you as, as inconsistent, which you are. So I think it's important that we're consistent, even if we don't like the thing that we're defending. That's the whole point of free speech, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I actually had a friend who was kind of being a little tongue in cheek, but also maybe he wasn't. And he said that Elon Musk should get the controlling stock of Twitter and shut it down. Just like get it out of there. It's kind of a cesspool. Yeah. Just like get rid of it completely. Which I wouldn't hate, and I know Justin wouldn't hate that. But if at that point though, if you really think about it practically, if we're at the point where we're regulating what people are and aren't allowed to say outside of like hate crimes and gross things like that, if we're at the point where we're regulating what people can and cannot say, then what's the point of even having an online platform? If people are limited in their expression, what's the point? I don't get it. So yeah, I think that definitely check out our blog about innovation and about this whole idea of regulating and stifling that, kind of putting a wet blanket over the fires of innovation that we have going on in America, because it's a slippery slope. I read when I was much younger, the book Road to Serfdom by Hayek, who was a economist, and he talked about how every big bad thing that comes with central planning always starts with one little spark. And so if you can convince people that they're in danger, and the government can convince people that they're in danger and they're here to help, that ultimately that control will get out of control. And it won't be long before we're just at the mercy of the government. So if you've never read Road to Serfdom, read it. You will have nightmares, I'm afraid, at this day and time. But it's definitely a good lesson that I think all of us Americans should learn and remember when things like this start to happen.
And we could also, criticize people that, we agree with other stuff, but just because something has a good intention doesn't mean it's good policy. I think maybe you disagree, but I think a lot of some of the left's crazier policies that are horrible, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, I think those generally have good intentions. They're just bad policy. So we can't just say, oh yeah, I don't like that they're like censoring conservatives. So this guy's got a good intention to say he wants free speech. That might be true, but it doesn't mean that it's actually good policy.
The long-term implications are bad.
Even short-term implications are bad.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of long-term implications, I don't know, Mark, you're not as much of a legal nerd as I am, but when I decided not to go to law school but still started pursuing like studying law on my own, I came across, and everyone who was born before the 80s remembers this, when Judge Bork, or I guess I don't even know if he was actually a judge, but his last name was Bork, was put up for the Supreme Court, and he was shot down because he was too conservative. And now they call it getting borked when you are shut down and not confirmed because you're too conservative. And I think that was, going back to what we were saying earlier about political theater, the first act of political theater that ultimately led to the demise of Supreme Court hearings. I used to watch every Supreme Court confirmation hearing. I lived for it. I made memes when Gorsuch was being confirmed. I used to watch them start to finish. sponging in every single bit of it. And I just couldn't watch it this time. Even the coverage on Instagram, couldn't watch it. The stuff I saw on Twitter, couldn't stomach it. All it is, if we take our justice system seriously, we should be taking seriously the task of our senators to appropriately vet who is being put on the Supreme Court. And I notice I say appropriately, not whether you like them or not. It's a qualification hearing. And it has just become a disastrous mess of political theater. And it makes me sick to my stomach. It just makes me want to cry for our system.
Well, the whole point of this now, which I mean is sad, but it's to score, political points so that you can get your commercial. You can see people saying, "Oh, look, I stood up for this." And I mean, I don't want to say it started there. I mean, I think the Kavanaugh one was really, really hard to watch, and I think that I think the Republicans have kind of gone the other way, where they were like, "Oh God, you treated Kavanaugh so awful and did all these awful things," which was true. And now I guess not to the same extent, but they're treating, Justice, well, I guess probably soon to be Justice Brown. Yeah. In a similar way. And it really has just become theater. And it's funny because if you look back, and you probably know this, but if you look back at Supreme Court nominees, especially going back to like basically Clinton and before, it's like 98-2. You basically always voted for them. The whole point was like, look, they're in power, they get their justice. That's kind of how how it's been, probably how it should be. It's like, look, they have these now, granted, if you're talking about expanding the court, I don't agree with that, but it's like, they're in charge, they have this justice, and they have the votes. Like, just, you should ask good questions. It's interesting to know. And if there's something that makes them truly unqualified from a legal sense, then you can vote against them. But I just think it's become so politicized. Like, even looking back, I'm just looking here, it's like 87-9, 96-3, 97-0. It's like these are, and then kind of, it seems like, of course, you talked about Clarence Thomas was before, and that was very close, but like once you got to Alito, it started getting closer. And then really from Gorsuch on, and it's going to be this one too, it's basically all about, I don't agree with the party that nominated them. And, one or two of these things I consider to be either outside the mainstream liberal or conservative. So I'm not going to do it. It's just, yeah, I agree. It's like, I think strategically the Republicans would be smart to just give her 100-0 vote. I think that would be the smartest thing they could do, and say, you know what, we're not going to play politics with this. Her credentials are qualified. We might not agree with all her rulings, but you're in charge. You won the elections.
Yes. Well, you remember years ago when Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high, and all the Republicans mocked her relentlessly for it, because it's true. The Democrats typically don't do that. The Republicans mocked her for it. And now, if you're going to mock someone for saying that, then you should golden rule it, treat people the way that you want to be treated. And if the Republicans want to reset everything and get back to how it should be, of this a confirmation hearing based on legal capabilities, they should be saying, we're going to reset this from our end. We might not agree with her perspectives. We can absolutely go through the list, the whole laundry list of everything we disagree with in a confirmation hearing. But at the end of the day, if she's legally qualified, confirm her. Like that, it's not correcting the system the way that I think that they think they want to correct it.
Yeah, both parties have really just been, I think the Supreme Court, both parties have been so inconsistent with everything, whether it's, even just the, bringing forward Supreme Court justices like Merrick Garland, and then Republicans, and then both sides were on the opposite side when it was them in charge. It just is like this whole idea of like they flip, they flop, whatever they want. It's all about politics. I think both parties. I truly don't think it's the party. I think that the Kavanaugh attacks were especially horrible and harsh because you're really trying to ruin this man's life over completely unsubstantiated rumors, which are a little different than kind of pulling apart, even what they did with Amy Coney Barrett, not as bad, because you're really trying to destroy this man's life. But and that one will still go down as the worst one, I think, in history, from like these unsubstantiated 100%. Rumors from like 50 years ago. And that was really tough. But I do think both parties have almost equal fault for what's going on right now. And I think we should get back to the normal structure of saying, if you're in charge, if you have the House, Senate, whatever presidency, you get your nominee. We're not going to add to the court. And I think that's ridiculous too. I think that, I think in some ways the Republicans are like, well, if they're going to add to the court anyway, why not just fight them if they want to do that? So I get that too, but like, just go. And I think both parties, it should be, unless there is something substantial, legally or otherwise substantial, that makes them unqualified. Yes. I'd say if you don't get at least 1 or 2 no votes from your own party, then it's probably not substantial enough. That's my opinion.
Yes. No, I totally agree. That's exactly what I'm saying. If they want to correct it, don't do exactly what they did the last time. They being whoever's in power right now. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. Everybody's repeating the same cycle that you criticized last time. Like, lay off, do your job. If you want to have a soundbite for TikTok or whatever you're doing, get your soundbite. But at the end of the day, do your job and confirm a justice if the justice is qualified.
I think you think politicians are way like younger than they are. They're not doing it for TikTok. They're doing it for like TV commercials, TV commercials and online ads.
You're not on TikTok, but I am. I see all of these politicians that put out the stuff that they've said in a hearing, and they say, we can't let this justice be confirmed. And it's their campaign, but that's what they're doing. And
I'd say Democrats are much more likely to have that than Republicans, if I'm being honest.
That's true. That's very true. Speaking of media and fun things to watch, that's fun to watch. This is fun to watch. It is the most exciting week in sports for me. I know your most exciting week in sports is March Madness. Don't ew me. I didn't ew March Madness.
That's because everyone loves March Madness. Nobody's like, oh, what, the Masters in the first weekend of baseball is the best week. You could say it's a good week. This is like the maybe 30th best week in sports.
It's my favorite week in sports. Me personally, it's my favorite week in sports. It's the Masters. It's baseball opening day. Max Fried is pitching for the Braves today against the Reds. The defending World Series champions are about to come out. I've been following their spring training games. We've been winning them. This is going to be a good year. I'm so pumped. I'm also pumped because I started a Masters Fantasy League again this year. And last year, I accidentally, on purpose, placed a lot of bets on Justin Thomas. My boy let me down. But this year is the year. I did not put my money on it this year just in case, but my Masters Fantasy League is named Get JT the Green, and that's what I'm hoping for. I chose in the Masters Fantasy League, which if you've never done this before, get on the Masters app or on the website.
Everybody has never done this before.
Shut up.
I mean, this is not like a famous thing. It's not like fantasy football. It's just a random game they just made up 2 years ago on the Masters app.
Okay, well, I like it. And I have a fantasy league, and you pick a first timer in the Masters, a past winner, an American player, and an international player. I got Harry Higgs. I've got Justin Thomas. I got Adam Scott. I got Tommy Fleetwood. And then the tiebreaker is the number of birdies. I think I put 1,112 birdies from the whole field during the tournament as my tiebreaker. I'm so excited. I love the Masters. I just got my TV in my new house. And for the rest of the day today, I will be playing the Masters in the background of all of my activities.
I hope you don't have to be in the tiebreaker because you will not win. That's like 300 more than last year. That's insane.
You never know.
No, you do. Know. It's supposed to be harder this year. Like there's gonna be less birdie. I think 944 last year.
Yeah, but the year before that, there was like it was like 1,020. It's like always in the thousands.
But they changed the course over time. And this year's supposed to be like, if you look at the average score, it's supposed to be higher than it was last year, as you can see so far today.
I just want all my boys to play well, and I hope that they get a crap load of birdies. That's all I'm saying. That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think it's fine. I understand. I mean, I'm not a golf fan, really. I mean, I picked some stuff on that. I mean, I think opening day in baseball is cool, but I mean, this is like to say there's just so many great weeks of sports. Like the Super Bowl, March Madness, the college football playoff. Like there's so many. This is way back. It's fine. I think the Masters is a big tournament. I think the big cool storyline is that Tiger Woods is coming back after his accident, which is the first time he's playing, and that's kind of gotten, unfortunately, all the press. It kind of sucks for the guys who are playing. It's like all you seem to hear about is like Tiger Woods and Bryson DeChambeau, and these guys who actually are not even like at the top of their game right now.
I can't stand Tiger.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot to that whole story too that we don't know. But either way, it's like he's gotten off to a pretty good start today because it looked like I think he's even through 6 right now. So I mean, he's playing better than I think expected based on he hasn't played in I think he got a bad accident 2 years ago.
It's been a couple of years now, but he did say, I did watch his press conference, and he's always said he doesn't enter a tournament unless he thinks he can win. And they said, do you think you can win? And he just said, yes. So
please look at the past statement.
Yes, please see above. Yes, I can win. I entered this tournament. Yeah, I mean, I don't like Tiger, that I have like moral qualms with him, but I do think it's nice to see someone able to recover from a horrific accident and make a comeback and come back to the game that they love. It's getting a lot of attention on the Masters. Yesterday was the par 3 contest where all their families come out, which was really fun to watch. I do think it's, say what you want about golf. I know you think golf is boring. That was Mark's username in my fantasy league, is that golf is boring, but I really do enjoy the Masters because it's a tradition like no other. They have a champions dinner where they honor the past champion. Last year, Hideki Matsuyama won, and the whole menu at the champions dinner was Japanese inspired. They wear their green jackets. They bring their families out for the par 3 contest, and they dress their wives or girlfriends and children in the white Masters caddy jumpers. I mean,
or wives and girlfriends. It depends on who the person is.
This is why we don't like Tiger. But they come out and it really is just kind of all for show the first few days. And it's what the fans want. I mean, the fans, you enter the lottery for practice round tickets because it is fun to watch, and you get your hat signed and you collect the green plastic cups because the cups are green. So if they drop them on the grass, it doesn't look like litter. And the sandwich wrappers are green. So if they drop them on the grass, it doesn't look like litter. It really is such a beautiful tradition at the Masters, and I love it and I'm here for it. So I can't wait to turn it on here in a few minutes when we hang up.
And I'm okay with it too. I think that when you talk about the tradition thing, that's kind of cool. I think it's just hard to watch 4 days straight. One thing I do love though that we need more is sports during the day.
Yes.
What better thing to have on, like when you're like, oh, I'm working, just put it on in the background. My TV's broken, so I can't. But it's like, and that's why like you love like the conference tournaments and basketball when you have baseball day games. Just cool to have something in the background. So I mean, I like that at least the golf is like during the day, which is cool.
Yeah, I love a Friday day baseball game that I can just turn on the Braves while I'm working and keep it on all day. I'm excited. The Braves have gold accents on their uniforms this year because they're the World Series champs. I mean, I am so excited. I actually gave my brother-in-law a vintage Braves jersey, a Dale Murphy jersey for Christmas this year, and told him to wear it on opening day. He better be wearing it today or else. But I got to check in on that. But it's just exciting. I know that this isn't everyone's Super Bowl, but this is my Super Bowl, and I get really excited.
And fun predictions. I actually think the Braves do not even win the NL East this year. I think the Phillies are the best team in the NL East with all those pickups they made in the offseason.
I hate the Phillies. I've always
they got some real power. They got Nick Castellanos and they got Kyle Schwarber. So they have some real power in the middle of their lineup. You know, they were pretty good last year. I think the Braves still make the playoffs and they might go farther, but I think that the Phillies are actually the better regular season team this year.
You said this last year. You were like, the Braves are bad. The Braves aren't going to do anything. Everyone said it.
Well, first of all, I bet on them halfway through the season to win it all when they got those pickups, and you didn't even know who those guys were. Pickups. So they were pretty bad until they got those guys, and then I liked them. So I was right on both accounts.
All I'm saying is anything can happen.
It can happen. I mean, you guys are still favored to win it. I'm going with the upset, and I think that the Phillies probably have a more complete team right now. But again, if you have Acuna back and fully healthy, which should be happening in the next few weeks, that might change things. But I sometimes off a big injury, they're not the same player. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like.
That's true. I hope he is. I mean, the morale that he's building as he's coming back is huge for the fan base. And I'm having a great time watching it. I'm really enjoying it. Speaking of the Braves, the golden era of the Braves, the Bobby Cox years, back in the 90s, the last time we won a World Series, it's like, are the 90s back? I mean, the Braves are good. Will Smith is popular. Like, are the 90s back? They're reviving all these shows. I saw they're doing a new revival of 90210, or they're supposed to. That was a celebrity blind item. I have no idea if that's confirmed. But if the 90s are back, I have some opinions about who should come back with them. First and foremost being James Vanderbeek. Dawson.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I know he did a small storyline on One Tree Hill, and I'm rewatching One Tree Hill for probably the 100th time. And I just saw him and I started looking into him, and I've talked about it a lot on this show, but we love a man who loves his family, and he loves his family. He loves his wife and his kids, and he and his wife have struggled with fertility issues, and he has been like in there cheering for her the whole time. And man, I love a man who loves his family. So if the 90s are coming back, we want James.
Please watch the movie The Goods. It's one of the funniest movies ever. It's like I mean, it's got Champ in it. It's like it's a lot of people, but there's a whole kind of byline, including James Vanderbeek. He's not in it, but they keep talking about him, and you would think it's hilarious. But it's got like Rob Riggle. It is actually arguably the most underrated, funny movie that I think probably in the world. It is so good. But they have a whole James Van Der Beek like skit there that you'll think is funny.
I want him back. I just wrote it down on my pink Post-it notes, so I will watch it.
You'll laugh, I promise. And yeah, I feel like I want something like if we're the 90s, is like I want the late 90s music, which okay, so I think I don't like Machine Gun Kelly.
You don't?
No, I do not. But I listened to this song he has, and it like reminded me of this I guess it's a new song. Have you listened to his new CD or anything?
No, but he has that new song that reminds me of Punk Rock Princess from something. What was Andrew McMahon's first band? Something corporate. And it was like,
it might be the same one. It's called Maybe. It's called Maybe.
Oh, different.
Featuring song. Bring Me Back to the Horizon. Well, whatever.
Bring Me the Horizon.
Or whatever. I never even heard of them. But the point is that, and that just reminded me of that. Like, I want to bring back, I really want to bring back, not quite the punk version, but I saw Fastballs going on tour with Everclear, so I'm excited for that. Like Bare Naked Ladies.
Bare Naked Ladies, 1 Week is my karaoke song.
There you go. I want Tal Bachman back. I want these good late 90s kind of bands. And he's like, that is, I actually feel like they always say that things come around, right? Like all these things that are like popular become lame and then they become popular again. It feels like it's time for that like 90s type music, even some of that like kind of catchy, something corporate type punk rock. Like, and I think the Machine Gun Kelly, but like, I feel like it's about time. I think it could be popular again.
I'm going to say something that you're going to hate. I feel like this is just my podcast where I'm just like making you furious. Blink-182 never left. They're still as awesome as they ever were.
Well, so Travis Barker actually plays drums now for Machine Gun Kelly on a CD.
Yeah, they're like best friends.
Yeah, so it means that they are not really a band anymore if he's playing with somebody else. So they did leave.
They never
also
left.
The fact that they're best friends makes me disgusted for both of them, but whatever.
I know, but they're besties. They love each other. Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian, congratulations on your Vegas wedding. But I do agree with you. I prefer 90s music. I actually have a playlist on my Spotify called 90s Feels, and it's current songs that feel like they should have been popular in the 90s. I love it.
I try to listen to like some of like the popular music now, and like I know I sound old, but I don't like it, any of it. Like except for, you know, what's actually super good is Justin Bieber is the only songs like these are good. I know. Like you listen to them and like, and the thing is, I have to not know who sings. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good who sings. It's like Justin Bieber's like, ugh. And it's like most of the ones that I like are him.
Well, every time I'm listening through New Music Friday on Spotify, which I do every Friday morning, there's this quality with Gen Z female artists where it sounds like they have a piece of paper for a tongue. And you probably have never picked up on it, but now when you listen to these female Gen Z artists, the way they sing, there's something about the way that their inflection is that sounds like they quite literally have a piece of paper for a tongue. And so now when you listen to it, you're going to notice it. You're not going to be able to get it out of your head, and you're going to know that this girl's got a paper tongue.
Yeah, I honestly try not to listen to it. And I feel like I feel like everyone says that they kind of hate today's music. It's like, well, then let's let the market work and let's bring back good 90s. It doesn't have to be the 90s bands, but stuff that sounds more like that.
I know. I listened through New Music Friday one time. I flagged the songs that I like for my seasonal playlist, and then I'm out. I barely get past
seasonal playlist.
Yeah, I have playlists for like winter, spring, summer, and fall for every season of the music that I like in that season. It's the only way to stay organized. It's the only way I can stay organized. But yeah, I think that Gen Z music, aside from some of the 90s era throwbacks, is all crap. Also, aside from Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber. But we gotta get that out of here and bring back the good stuff. Like Hanson and like, remember BB Mac?
I love BB Mac. I mean,
yeah.
I don't remember anybody dancing like that to it, but I do.
You didn't know me.
BB Mac was, I mean, we can go into this. They're the most underrated boy band. They were super good. And they were like, everyone thinks about Back Here. They had so many other good songs, like Still on Your Side. Like they had a lot of good songs.
Remember Savage Garden?
Oh yeah, of course. I still, every time I go to a jukebox, I play at least 2 Savage Garden songs.
Yeah, because it's straight up fire. It's so good.
I always just love every time you hear like a sip of cherry cola. It's like my favorite. I just love saying that part.
I remember LFO. Like,
oh yeah. Like the lead singer died of that. Yeah.
I know. Well, I mean, and we can hate on Will Smith all we want because he really did behave like a child. But Getting Jiggy With It is the bop of our generation, and I will not accept any other responses to that song.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like. I mean, I did like all that stuff. I like this whole like Y2K, or I guess his Millennium album, but like the Y2K song. Like I thought that was like right when 2001. I thought that I really liked him. But we should do something like I feel like we should have some news segment once a month where we like bring back a band that we haven't heard of and like make people listen to their songs or like attach their songs to our thing.
Well, this week is BB Mac. If you were not a BB Mac fan, BBMAK. If you were not a BB Mac fan, you should be today.
And the thing is, you might not know who they are by their name, but if you listen to Back Here, you absolutely know that song.
Everyone knew Back Here. Everyone.
I feel like they've kind of a fastball-esque quality in the way that like people don't necessarily know who they are. But like, oh, I know these 3 songs though. It's like you just don't necessarily connect it to the band.
Yes, I actually recently subscribed to Sirius XM in my car, and 90s on 9 and Pop 2K are my most played station, and Alt Nation.
90s on 9 is so good.
90s on 9 is fire 24 hours a day. It's so good. There's no annoying female announcer like there is on Alt Nation that just talks to hear herself talk. It just is straight fire 24/7. Hook that up, people. You won't be sorry. Wow, great podcast today, despite me getting absolutely trashed for my opinions on sports. But
not your opinion on sports, your opinion on what sports matter the most. Not all, like I don't criticize your team, but
that's showbiz, baby.
Yes, that is. But you are wrong. This is not the best weekend in sports. So if people hear that, they might think something cool is coming up. It's not that cool. So please keep your expectations low.
Don't listen to Mark. If you want to talk about golf, send me a direct message on Facebook and I will talk about golf all day long till we're both blue in the face. We'll post Ron's blog post in the comments in case you haven't had a chance to read it, because it really is some of his best work. And thanks for listening, fam. We'll see you next week.